Welcome friends, I hope everyone is well. I am here with you in a new chapter of darkness and mystery. You are watching True Shadow, episode number 5. Today we will take you on the path of such a true incident where logic ends and bone-chilling terror begins. Our story today is completely based on real events. Before listening to the incident, if you are new to our channel, then subscribe now and stay with us by giving a like to this video. Because one like and subscribe from you encourages us to search and bring more terrifying stories. Our first incident today has been sent by one of our own well-wishers. He has written to us about that horrifying experience that happened to him. Let us return to that incident. The incident is being read out exactly the way Daniel wrote and sent it to me. Not a single word has been changed here. Daniel's own language, his own emotions, and his own experience are being presented to you.
My name, Daniel. Last year, when I came to do a PhD on a scholarship in a secluded town in Massachusetts, at that time, I was looking for a cheap place to stay. These areas of New England are known for their old history. It was here that I found that huge Victorian mansion. Built in the 1857s, this house looked very much like a Gothic movie. High ceilings, big windows, and those strange wooden carvings. The current owner of the house was an old woman who rented me a room on the upper floor at a very low cost. Compared to typical modern American apartments, this house was completely different. From every corner of it, there seemed to come an ancient smell, old paper, and a strange blend of wood. When I entered that house on the first day with my trunk, I don't know why, but I felt as if the walls of the house were watching me. In the history of New England, many houses are associated with witch trials or witch hunting. The backstory of this house was also quite mysterious. The people of the neighborhood would look at the house in such a way as if some terrible curse was hidden there. Although everything seemed normal for the first few days, I noticed that the floors of the house made strange sounds while walking. Even when I sat completely still, they did. The most surprising thing was the layout of my room. In one corner of the room, there was a small wooden wardrobe which was attached to the wall. I was not given any key to open it. Whenever I sat down at night to work on my laptop, it felt like from the other side of that wardrobe, someone was very subtly scratching with fingernails. We usually assume such things to be the nuisance of house mice or squirrels, but the rhythm of those scratches was exactly like human fingernails. One day late at night, when the entire town was covered in snowfall, I suddenly heard from the upper attic or loft the sound of something heavy being dragged. Yet I knew the upper floor had been locked for years. A strange cold sensation ran down my spine. I began to feel this Victorian mansion was not empty at all. Some entity lives here who cannot accept my presence.
That night, after hearing that heavy dragging sound from the attic, even in that bone-chilling cold, sweat began to gather on my forehead. These old Victorian mansions, no matter how majestic they look during the day, at night they seem to turn into living hells. I sat frozen like stone on my bed. In my hand was my iPhone, whose flashlight I had turned on. The clock read 3 a.m., and at that very moment, the real horror began, which turned all my scientific logic to dust. From inside that locked, mysterious wardrobe in my room, first came a very faint scratching sound. It felt like some small creature was rubbing its nails on wood, but within a few seconds, that sound changed into an inhuman whisper. Many times, we mistake the sounds of old heating pipes or window rattling, but this sound was completely different. It felt like from just the other side of the wall, someone was speaking in a very low voice, but very clearly, muttering. As I listened closely, my blood froze. The voice was that of an old woman, and the language she was speaking was several hundred-year-old colonial English. She was saying, "Daniel, why have you come here? Do you not know these walls are soaked in blood? Do you not know who lie beneath these oak planks?" The sound was no longer coming only from inside the wardrobe. Now it felt like it was floating in from all the walls around my room. I noticed, even in this freezing cold, the temperature of my room had dropped far below normal. My breath was visible, which in the presence of a central heating system inside the room was impossible. When I tried to leave the room, moving toward the door, suddenly I saw my laptop turned on by itself. There was no text on the screen, only on a pitch-black background, in red letters, a date appeared, 1859. I knew in the history of New England, these years were infamous for witchcraft and mysterious religious rituals. Suddenly, from beneath the wardrobe door, a kind of thick, dark smoke began to emerge. Mixed with that smoke was a strong, pungent smell of rotting flesh and wet soil, far more terrifying than the smell of formalin found in a morgue. As I was curled up in fear in one corner of the bed, I saw the family photos hanging on the wall, turning over one by one. The strange thing was, at that exact moment, outside my room's window, a shadow moved past. We were on the third floor. There was no balcony outside. Then who could be beyond a third-floor window?
I gathered courage and looked toward the window and saw countless small handprints appearing on the glass. It felt like a group of invisible children were trying to break the window and enter from outside. Their crying sounds and the old woman's whisper coming from the other side of the walls together formed a hellish concert all around me. Suddenly, the wardrobe door in the room shook violently once. It felt like from inside someone was trying to break the door with a huge hammer. I closed my eyes and started praying loudly, but the whisper did not stop. Instead, it now came directly to my ear. I felt near my neck someone exhaling an extremely cold breath. I looked toward the mirror. I was not alone in the reflection. Standing right behind me was a shadowy figure, wearing those tattered 17th century clothes, and its eyes were completely white, no pupils. With its long, blackened fingers, it was about to touch my shoulder. I tried to scream, but it felt like some invisible force was gripping my throat. Accustomed to this modern American lifestyle, I realized some ancient curse is trapped within the bricks and stones of this house, and tonight it wants to claim me as its prey.
When those icy, disembodied fingers touched my shoulder, at that very moment, a horrific wail echoed throughout the entire mansion. The sound felt like it was rising from deep beneath the earth. Somehow, breaking free from that supernatural trance, I ran out of the room and started sprinting down the corridor. The wooden floors of that old mansion, with each of my steps, were making groaning sounds. I was trying to go downstairs, but strangely, the stairs seemed to never end. Just like the stories of legendary witch houses, the house felt like it was changing its geometric shape. Running and running, I finally reached the very bottom floor of the house, that is, in front of the basement door. For some reason, an invisible force was pulling me toward that darkness. The basements of these old houses are usually used for storage or heating boilers,
but from this mansion's basement came an ancient, rotten smell. When I went down the basement stairs, in my phone's flashlight, I saw the walls were damp, and there, strange symbols were carved. Suddenly, my eyes fell on a huge oak wardrobe in one corner of the basement, which looked exactly like that mysterious wardrobe in my room. I noticed, behind the wardrobe, a section of the wall where the bricks were loose. In a strange mixture of curiosity and terror, as I removed those bricks, what emerged was a dark, narrow tunnel, a secret passage. In many old houses, such secret paths existed, used for fugitives or forbidden rituals. From inside the tunnel, the old woman's whisper floated again, this time much clearer. As I peered inside, I saw a small room, and in the middle of that room stood an old wooden cradle rocking by itself. Beside the cradle, lying on the floor, were some primitive dolls and one leather-bound diary.
As soon as I picked up the diary, I saw the date 1859 written there. The pages of the diary were filled with blood-red ink. It said the story of the first owner of this house, who sacrificed his own children in occult practitioner rituals so that he could remain the lord of this mansion forever. At that very moment, the entrance of the tunnel slammed shut. I was trapped in the dark room. Suddenly, from all around, hundreds of crying voices began to echo. Those invisible children's souls seemed to be circling all around me. I saw that shadowy figure passed through the tunnel wall and stood in front of me. Now its face was clearly visible. It was the ghost of that cruel owner described in the diary. It extended its long arms and grabbed my throat. I could feel my life force slowly slipping away. Just when I was about to lose consciousness, suddenly from upstairs, the deep voice of the old landlady of the house was heard. She was chanting something in Latin. Immediately, that disembodied entity let out a horrific scream and vanished into smoke. The tunnel door opened, and I ran outside like a madman. The old woman looked at me and said only one thing: "Daniel, some mysteries are better left buried. You must leave this town today." I did not stand there for another moment. Before dawn, leaving my belongings behind, I fled from that cursed mansion and from Massachusetts. Later, while researching the history of that house on the internet, I learned in the last 100 years, no tenant who stayed there lasted more than 3 days. Some even mysteriously disappeared. Even today, when I am alone at night, I feel someone calling my name from the other side of the walls. How much grotesque history lies buried behind glittering cities. That Victorian mansion made me feel it, down to my bones.
This was the real incident that happened in Daniel's life. If you have any true incident experiences, then please do let us know. You can send us those stories via email or on our Facebook page. Our email and Facebook page links can be found very easily. Everything is in the video description box. The true incident stories you send will be published on our True Shadow channel. Your story could be the terrifying mystery of the next episode. Everyone stay well, take care of yourselves. See you in the next episode of True Shadow.